will the gentleman sponsor yield the floor to a few questions for information?
Yes, Mr. President.
Mr. President, how much is the total capital outlay for the new facilities that we are building for the Southeast Asian Games? I underscore the word new because there are venues which have been renovated, and renovation probably is needed whether or not we will host the Southeast Asian Games. What we are interested in, Mr. President, is just the new venues that were constructed. How much was the capital outlay that we devoted to this?
13 billion, Your Honor.
13 billion.
The athletes village in New Clark
Yes.
City.
These are the facilities in the New Clark City.
Correct, Your Honor.
Can the gentleman just give us a rough outline of what these facilities are for the record?
Track oval.
Track oval,
Track oval and athletics stadium.
stadium,
Aquatics center. Athletes
Aquatic center.
village.
can you do slowly a little bit, sir?
Swimming pool.
Aquatic center is the third, the fourth is after the aquatic center. You were too fast in reading,
We
sir.
We have diving pool and swimming pool also, Mr. President.
The swimming pool and
Diving pool.
diving pool.
And a practice pool also.
Sorry?
And a practice pool.
Practice. Now,
Yung sinabi ko
so
kanina.
the budget and the expense that you have incurred for these new facilities is 13 billion. Now, Mr. President,
Ang nag-fund po nitong 13 billion is BCDA, the basis conversion.
sorry, sir,
BCDA po.
ang
Ang nag-fund ng 13 billion.
yeah, okay, so not the general appropriations.
No, Your Honor.
Yeah. Well, whether it was the BCDA or the general appropriations bill, it's still public funds that we spent.
Correct,
No.
Your Honor.
May we know, but you said it's BCDA. Where did BCDA source its funds? Also from the general budget, I assume?
Dito. Wait, dito yung BCDA.
The facilities from the budget. The budget 2019, GAA 2019.
From the GAA of 2019, according to the chairperson of the
So
BCDA.
the present budget is the source of the funds of the BCDA to build these new facilities.
Correct, Your Honor.
Other than these new facilities, there were also renovations done on the other sports facilities, which will be the venue of the games. Is that my reading correct, sir?
Correct, but from PSC, the Philippine Sports Commission.
PSC is
The
the one
repair,
for the repairs.
for the repairs, correct, Your Honor.
Can the gentleman spread into the record how much these, how much was the budget for the repairs of these facilities?
For the three gyms, the Rizal Memorial Coliseum, the Ninoy Aquino Coliseum, and what's the other? The third one? The Ultra, the Field Sports. How much is the total? 849 million. Tama? Of the three, yes.
850 million, just around
839. 849 million.
849. Okay, so you have 13 billion plus 849 million capital outlay. Any other capital outlay that was budgeted in the current year's budget, other than these two mentioned, Mr. Sponsor?
The Rizal Memorial, the PSC budget emanated from Factor Fund. It's not a GA budget.
The Rizal Memorial Coliseum repair uh, emanated from, it was sourced from the PAGCOR fund, but not from the GA.
GA.
Yeah.
Yes. And how much would this be in terms of repair? Yes, it's coming from PAGCOR, but again, these are public funds.
It totaled 849 million.
Is that the same as, is that only for the
The repair
is that-
only of those three Coliseum, Jim.
So, just to clarify, we got confused, Mr. Chair, or Mr. Sponsor. First, the 13 billion would be for the new facilities in New Clark City,
9.5, sorry, 9.5, not 30, 9.5.
regardless of the source of the funds, because these are all public funds.
There is a correction from the president of BCDA. 9.5 billion, not 13 billion. And it was sourced from the GAA of year 2019. Yeah. The construction of sports facilities in the National Government Administrative Center.
So 9.5.
Correct, Your Honor.
And again, I would ask for the repair of the sports facilities, how much was the outlay, regardless of source? Is it 849 all total? Aside from the 849 which was spent on the three gyms or coliseums, there are facilities like used for lawn tennis, track and field, and swimming pools, amounting to more than 600 million pesos. It was also sourced from PAGCOR, Mr. President. So, okay, any other facility which required capital expenses that we that was undertaken?
Magkano? Also, the Subic shooting range and the Marine shooting range was also repaired. How much is the total? Total also to 34 million pesos from PAGCOR also.
Okay. Okay, so I'm sorry we have to go through all of this because we're trying to figure out what is, first, the total capital outlay that is provided for in the budget or from PAGCOR, which we devoted for these facilities. So far, for the new Clark City, 9.5 billion. From PAGCOR, 849 million and 600 million. Again, from PAGCOR, another 34 million. Anything else, Mr. President?
So no more?
The 50 venues aside from Clark and PEC.
Aside from those mentioned venues that were repaired, more than 40 venues rentals lang po raw, Mr. President.
How much, sir?
Temporary use or rental. 175 million.
175 million. These are for rentals?
Yes, correct.
Yeah, but
Mr.
this is not a capital outlay. This is a maintenance and
It's
operating expense.
temporary.
Yes. So is what was previously mentioned all the capital outlay that was disbursed? And can you give us the total, Mr. O meron pa?
Another which was sourced from capital outlays, the Tagaytay,
covering skateboarding and cycling.
Tagaytay covering the skateboarding and cycling and
Cycling and
skateboarding and cycling sa Tagaytay raw po.
And how much is this?
30 million pesos.
30. So, may we know, sir, what is the total capital outlay for this hosting of our for the building or repair of the sports facilities? Just for the record.
Mr. President, kino-compute pa lang.
Yeah,
nila.
opo.
Hindi pa. Yung klaro.
repairs and construction, more or less total.
Repairs and construction, more or less total to 12 billion, Mr. President.
How much, sir?
Tama?
12
More or less 12 billion.
billion? Is it 12B or 12M?
Billion.
12 billion. 12 billion both for new facilities and repairs. Is that what it says?
Correct, Mr. President. Yung ibang structure daw po ay 1985 pa po itong
Oh.
Rizal Memorial, yung Spill
Yes.
Sports,
Yes.
na nanonood pa ako dyan.
That is why the premise I laid was that whether or not we bidded to host the Southeast Asian Games, we would have had to repair anyway these deteriorating facilities. But I would like to focus on the 9.5 billion, therefore, which are the new facilities. Mr. President, what will we do with these facilities after the games? The reason I'm asking that is I have seen a few sites of athletic meets and events all over the world. I have seen the Olympic Stadium in a number of countries, which today are just monuments of
Siya ang,
non-use.
siya ang permanent
And these are assets which
last year.
are in effect just in our books without any income being earned. So first, is there a plan on what to do with this?
Chairman Ramirez has informed us that after the biennial meet, they are looking to open both the Rizal Memorial Sports Coliseum, Philippine Sports Arena, and the agency-controlled sports facility in Baguio City to various local and international tournaments, as well as Philippine commercial leagues and other collegiate college leagues like the UAAP and NCAA. Hosting these tournaments after the SEA Games can draw additional revenue for the PSC to be used for improving the living conditions of the athletes, such as their nutrition, dormitories, and allowance. As for the facilities in the new Clark City, some of these facilities can be utilized by the Philippine High School for Sports to be established in the area. These facilities can be used to provide our student athletes world-class training, which will eventually help the country return to the top in the world of sports.
Mr. President, thank you for that response. Has there been an effort to compute how much is the maintenance expense of these facilities after the games?
Yes, Mr.
How much will the maintenance cost be?
Right now, it's ranging from 150 million to 200 million
Per
a year, computed by the Asian Development Bank.
by the Asian
Development Bank.
Development Bank. The Asian Development Bank, we're saying, has computed or determined that the annual maintenance cost will be about 150 million. Is that what we heard?
Correct, Mr. President.
150 million. So apart from the substantial amount of 12 billion that we will sink in for these facilities, we expect to be to spend 100, at least 150 million for maintenance.
Correct, Mr. President.
And if there is no 100, if we do not, how do we intend to fund the 150 million per year?
According to the president of the BCD, they're planning to privatize the operations and maintenance of the New Clark City, Mr.
When we
President.
say privatize, what do we exactly mean?
We will be bidding it out.
They are planning to bid it out with the private developers
operate and
wha-
maintain.
you
to
know,
operate and maintain and generate revenue
yes,
for the government.
nice to hear that, but exactly who would want to rent an athletic stadium?
All over the world, they're mixed-use facilities. They're used for concerts, they're used for trainings, for
All over the world, there are many use for concerts and athletics use, other commercial venues.
Well, you know, these are very broad general statements, and I think it is admitted that there is really no detailed plan as to how to generate funds.
There is a detailed plan according to the president.
Can we have a copy of that?
Yes, the president of BCD will provide to the good senator.
So you are saying that there is enough economic activity to be able to at least cover the maintenance expense of 150 million per year?
study of ADB.
According to the study of ADB, the Asian Development Bank, yes, Your Honor.
And may we know if you have already an indicative list of who would be interested in renting a 20,000 seating track and field facility?
As of now, Mr. President, there are interested developers who are willing to continue to operate and maintain, but he cannot divulge.
These are not?
He cannot divulge it right now, according to the president of BCDA.
Well, because, I mean, I think with all due respect,
Bigay mo na sa ano.
with all due respect, I think this has not been thought out because this will be a burden on the budget with the maintenance cost. I'm sorry, but I cannot agree, I cannot believe that we can generate enough funds even just to maintain this. And what will happen is that because of lack of funds to maintain, these facilities will deteriorate over time. So we have sunk in 9.5 billion for this activity, which 9.5 billion in maybe, and I know in some short term would, for lack of any lessee or operator, would deteriorate.
According to the president of BCDA, pinag-aralan na po raw ito ng Asian Development Bank, and the BCDA president can approach you to explain the interest from the private sector and how can we sustain the operations of these facilities. And if I may add, he is willing to leave his resignation letter.
I'm sorry, sir?
He's willing to leave his resignation letter pag pumalpak daw siya rito. Sabi ko sa kanya.
Can we be favored, Mr. Sponsor, with a copy of this ADB study?
We will send it.
Yes, Your Honor. He will send it to you, the study of the Asian Development Bank.
Yeah, can we have it by next week at least?
Yes,
Okay.
tomorrow, if you're in your
Tomorrow, very
office.
good, yes.
Sarado naman tayo bukas.
Tsaka magiging national training center siya. Tsaka magiging national training center.
Magiging national training center na po raw siya, Mr. President.
Okay, yeah, no doubt about it. We can have the National Training Center. What we're interested in is if there was a financial plan after the facilities are finished and used, so that it can be, so that the amount of money that we spend and the facilities that we will construct, which have been constructed, can be maintained, or at least there is a hope, faint as it is, that we can recover our investment.
So,
Can
mababalik raw ba yung ano?
Eventually.
Yes, eventually.
It will not take 5 years, but it will
or, you know,
It will not take 5 years according to the President of BCDA.
no, it will take longer than 5 years.
We are confident about the sustainability of the operations. Anyway, we will furnish Your Honor with all the necessary information immediately.
yes, I yield the floor to Senator Binay.